I am beyond excited to introduce to you Dr. Robert Korb, known to us as Dr. Bob. Dr. Bob is a licensed psychologist who specializes in sports, and he's actually the former director of UCLA's sports psychology program, so he knows what he's talking about. So this is a little teeny bit long, but Dr. Bob has some incredibly insightful things to say about like running and the mental game of running and pushing yourself through discomfort and pain and chasing impossible goals. So enjoy. We're really, really lucky to have him on board for BQ or Best. Dr. Bob!
You're here. We did it.
Hi!
I know you can't see me very well because I've got no shades on my back window because we're putting new windows in this week.
You're good. That's awesome.
So tell me what's going on with you.
Well, this has been so incredibly difficult. And difficult in ways that I didn't think would be difficult. Like I knew it was going to be hard and that it like was going to push me in ways that I wasn't going to be used to and that like physically it was going to be draining. But I literally feel like it's one step forward, 40 steps back, like every single time.
Right.
And that's driving me nuts.
What's your coach say?
He says that I'm doing great and that I need to just like pay attention to my numbers more. And like when I'm doubting myself, let that remind me that, you know, that's the mental game. Like and it's summer, so we're running in humidity and everything feels so much harder than it is. And that I'm doing great and like, and he's right. Cause like, especially at my track workouts where there's like specific points on the track that I just feel myself giving up.
Right.
And I like physically push through it, but it feels infinitely harder than it should.
So it's just not difficult or hard, it's also a struggle. I mean, it's also, you're suffering.
Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like.
You can't help but have it be hard. I mean, it's got to be, or else it wouldn't be, worth it.
Totally.
But it doesn't have to be suffering, and that seems to be the difference. Right?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Hard I can do. Like I can compartmentalize hard and get myself through it. But I've just been like doubting myself so much recently. And then on Saturday, like I had a really good race and like a breakthrough where I finally like, where it got hard enough that I would normally just pull back.
Right.
I kept going and I finally like stayed in the moment the entire time and did exactly what I needed to do and what I like was expected to do and what I wanted to see if I could do. But I had a moment in the race where I was like, is this actually worth it? Like, is this, like, why are you doing this? It's so much more fun to just run for you and run for fun, which was kind of scary.
But you should expect that that's going to happen. I mean, that would be, I can't imagine that not happening to a marathoner. And I would think even the most elite marathoner gets to a point where they go, why the hell am I doing this? And then they push through it and you finish and you go, that's why I was doing it. Because, it was worth it at the end. But, I mean, so let me ask you a question. When you normally run a hard workout or in a race and it gets really hard, do you try and run away from that or do you try and embrace that? Or what do you do with when it really hurts?
I think I come up with excuses why I shouldn't, as not to, pull back so that I don't feel like I'm giving up. I feel like there are external factors that give me a cop-out. As shitty as that is to admit, I feel like I do that almost always.
So you look for that. Do you use it?
Yeah.
But Saturday, you didn't do that.
No.
Saturday, you pushed through it. Right. And it felt so much better at the end when you went, wow, I did what I didn't think I could do.
Yeah.
Right. But in that moment, because when I talk to elite level runners, one of the things that separates them in my mind is that they say when it starts to hurt, they embrace that. They say that's the way it should be, right? As opposed to, okay, now I'm going to think about anything but how much this hurts.
Yeah.
I'm going to put myself someplace else. I'm going to, like you used the word compartmentalize, and that's the word I use a lot too. Okay, I'm going to compartmentalize this pain and put it away, and when I'm done running, then I'll pull it back out again, and it won't hurt because I'll be done. But while I'm running, I don't want to think about how much this hurts. Is that more like what you do?
Yeah, I mean, but I've distracted myself. Whenever I run, I've never had to actually run. Exactly. And now I have to be uber present in order to do these things.
Precisely. And that's what your coach is trying to say.
Yeah, it's so hard.
qualify for Boston, you can't just run unless you happen to be uber amazingly talented.
I mean, I'm really learning, like, I'm not a very good runner. Like, I know when I'm good at something, and I can, like, innately, I'm gifted at things, and how effortlessly and second nature things come to me, and this is not one of them, like, at all. I think it just shocked me so much how badly it hurt on Saturday.
To me, acceptance is the word that they use to describe that, that need to be okay with the fact that it's going to hurt and it's not going to be easy. A lot of people don't want to think that it has to be hard. They want to think that they can do this easily. But I think what your coach is telling you by focus on the numbers is two things. One is saying, trust me. And then the other is, that's what gets you back to focus on the process, right? I mean, it's okay, here I am on this track workout. I'm supposed to be holding, 70s or whatever I'm supposed to be holding. And, am I doing it? Stay focused on the numbers. Yeah, it hurts, but it's supposed to hurt. Instead of, wow, wouldn't it be nice if I was in Hawaii right now and I'm just going to dream about being in, Aloha land, not feel the pain. You just won't be able to do that, I don't think. So acceptance theory says if we can accept the situation for what it is and not judge it, then we won't suffer. I mean, it still might suck, but it won't suffer. And the difference is you volunteer to do this.
I know. And I didn't think it would get to me, but I'm feeling so much pressure.
Right. Well, and I can understand why you would be. But here's the thing I think about that is that you can't lose, because let's just say you don't qualify, but you've done everything that you're supposed to do. Okay, so then the journey was worth it. Thousands of people are going to follow you and say, wow, that's pretty incredible. So the result, is important. The outcome is important, but it's the journey that matters. But it's hard because we're also results driven. Your coach just wants to know, did you do the workout the way I told you to today? If you did, then we'll chalk that one up, and here's the next one, and here's the next one, and then you'll get to the race, and everybody will be wondering, what was your time? And all you need to do is, if you focus on that, you're never gonna make it. But if you focus on the process and stay in the moment, every single moment, that's what's gonna work.
What advice do you have about the doubt element?
Again, I think, to me, if you can accept the fact that that's a normal part. When I talked to the Olympic water polo team in 2000, right after they came back from Australia and they finished second, they got a silver medal in Australia, lost to the Australians in the championship game in the last 0.7 of a second. I said to them, so what's your number one issue? They said self-confidence. I looked at them, self-confidence? Seriously? You guys are silver medalists. How can you? And they said, well, we know we're good. The question is, are we good enough? And we need to be 0.7 of a second better to win a gold medal next time around. So for 4 years, their goal was to be 0.7 of a second better than the last time around. And then 4 years later, they got screwed by a referee, and they ended up finishing third. Oh. And if you ask them about it, they'll say, we felt better about that than we did about finishing second, because we knew we'd done everything we could. The journey was worth it to us. 4 years later, in 12, they win the gold. 16, they're favored to win it again. And it's all because I think they got to the point where they go, yeah, we are good enough. We know we're good enough. And I think that's what the doubt is. Are you good enough to qualify for Boston? You don't know yet. But you'll find out, obviously, in November. But the question is, between now and then, are you going to have moments of doubt? Yeah. And when you have them, I think it's okay to say, okay, I'm not so sure I'm going to be able to do this or not. And the question is, what do you do with that? Do you turn that around and say, I give up? Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, if you put together a string of days where you focus on the process, not the outcome, you'll get to the outcome. I mean, you'll get there. I mean, it's all, I should give you my whole little spiel, actually. So the very first thing that's up there says this kind of like what I consider the performance focus, where you want to be focused when you're performing, when you're running. So the present part, so there's the PIP is what I call this. And the present part, obviously, is to be living in the moment. And sometimes the moment sucks, like it hurts, like it did on Saturday. Sometimes it's ecstatic when you finish a race and it's, or you run into a cute guy, whatever. I mean, the moment changes, every few seconds. And the trick is to stay with it, even when it's hard. And how do you know if you're not? I always ask people, when you've had a peak moment, when you've had a peak experience, when you've had a great race like on Saturday, what do you remember about that? And people will say, I don't remember much. I don't remember having any feelings at all. What did time do? Did it slow down? Did it speed up? I don't remember. And that's being totally in the zone. You're just totally in the moment. When you get angry, you're living in the past. When you get mad, somebody cuts you off, or you have to stop and tie your shoe, or whatever. You get pissed off. That moment lasts a second. But if you stay angry, now you're living in the past. You're mad at something that already happened. So anger is a great indicator that I'm probably not in the moment. I'm probably living in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Anxiety, fear is living in the future. Like I'm worried about what if. Now, when you go to the line and before the gun goes off and you're nervous and scared, that's normal. That's normal. But if you can't sleep for 3 days before a race, now you're living in the future. What if I don't run as fast as I'm supposed to? What if it's 100 degrees out? What if you don't sleep all the night? And that anxiety obviously indicates I'm not living in the moment. I'm living in the future. So the moment can range from anything from horrible to great, and it's going to change every few seconds. Can you stay with it? And especially when it's bad, and it hurts. That's the challenge. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The internal part is obviously what we've been talking about, the things you have control over, which when I talk to athletes, I'll ask them, so what don't you have control over? All the weather, what my competitors are doing, the course, and all of that. What do you have control over? You. How I handle myself, the process. So that's the third part of it, is to focus on the process, not the outcome. Let your coach worry about the outcome. That's what he gets paid to do. You just get paid to stay in the moment. And then this last piece, this mindfulness stuff, I really, really like. And I don't know if you've ever looked into mindfulness at all, but it's an old Eastern, concept that we've sort of taken to the West, and I really like it because the whole idea of it is that you're intentional about your focus, you're in the present, but you're non-judgmental, and I think that's the key thing. We spend so much time beating ourselves up for having the thoughts that we have. So, and that's what you were asking me about. That's what made me think about this, is you were asking, how do I, get over the doubt? How do I, accept that I have doubt? Okay, that's normal. Even the most elite athletes in the world have doubt.
Yeah, I've never thought to use mindfulness. I've listened to a lot of meditation podcasts, right, and they talk about it all the time, but I've never thought about it like that.
Well, I'm going to send you a link to UCLA has a whole research institute called the Mindfulness Institute.
Oh, really?
And they have a bunch of downloadable podcasts and stuff like that on mindfulness. And they're really easy. You just sit there and breathe, basically, or do a body scan. They'll help you go to sleep, too, if you can't sleep. You'll find that really helpful. Like, I try and convince all my athletes to start practicing mindfulness.
It's good for your life in general.
I think that, it's all good stuff. But the non-judgmental part is the hardest thing, I think.
Totally.
Yeah, no,
it's impossible, almost. Sometimes it feels like it.
But that statement's really important. It's almost impossible to not be judgmental.
Yeah.
So don't try.
Yeah.
Accept the fact that you're going to be. Don't judge your judgment.
Yeah.
Be okay with the fact that, okay, I just ripped myself a new one when I didn't need to. Moving on.
Yeah.
Here we go. What's next? Which is not to say that there's not a place for guilt. I understand that sometimes we have to, it helps us to understand why we did what we did, and maybe we change our behavior in the future. Regret it. It's okay to have regret, but if you live there, it's a miserable place to live.
Yeah.
It doesn't catch anyone. So then if you take a look, if you go further down the line to you can skip number 2, although I use this with the kids. I always talk about the 5 things you have control over: your attitude, your effort level, what you're doing to improve, what you do when you get an opportunity, and how unselfish you are. To me, those, if you want to give a kid 5 easy things to focus on, those are the things he or she should focus on. But go down to number 3, and this, I think, goes back to something you were talking about before, and relates to what your coach is talking about. So I only think there's 3 things that human beings do. We think, we have feelings, and we behave, we act. You're doing all 3 right now. What we think becomes what we say to ourselves. We talk to ourselves all the time. The thing about our conversations with ourselves is a lot of times they're like a script that goes off in our head. We don't even know the script goes off. It plays automatically almost. Like, give me a certain stimulus. if your phone rings and it's your dad right now, you're going to have a reaction. It's going to be something like, oh, I wonder why he's calling. I haven't talked to Dad in a long time. He's going to be goofy again. Here we go. Goofy Dad. And whatever it is, I mean, there's a script that goes off in your head, and then that thought process leads to a feeling.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wow, I'm going to get to talk to Dad. Oh, shit, what does he want? Or whatever the reaction is. And then it leads to the way that you behave. You answer the phone, what do you want? It's like, I'm just calling to say, hi, Kelly. But there's a script that's gone off that's gotten you to this place where that's the way that you react. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Okay. So when I put that to running or to any physical activity, I say, you've done this so many times now that the script's going to go off in your head when it's time to run. And, if you wake up and you're sore and stiff from yesterday, then the script's going to be something, oh, shit, I can't do this today. This is going to suck. I don't want to do this. And sure enough, it sucks and you don't want to do it. And, you're miserable. So what I come back to is self-talk. Is it accurate or inaccurate? People call it positive and negative. I call it accurate and inaccurate. If what you're saying to yourself is accurate and it takes you to a bad place, I can't fix that.
Yeah.
And if you're in the middle of a 10-mile run in 90-degree temperatures and 100% humidity, and 5 miles into it you say, this really sucks, I'm not sure I can do this, how am I going to argue with that? I mean, that's true. If you say to me, this really sucks and I can't do it, I'm going to say, how do you know that? You predicting the future? Can you take one more step? Yeah. You take one more step after that? Yeah. You take one more step. Then how do you know you can't do it? And you're predicting the future, but you can't really do. So that's where you got inaccurate. You were right. This is hot. It sucks. You were wrong to predict the future. Does that make sense?
Totally.
So what I get into is challenging the self-talk. What is it that I'm saying to myself that makes me feel the way that I do, that makes me act the way that I do? Is it accurate or is it inaccurate? If it's accurate, I'm stuck with it. If you tell me, I made a mistake and I shouldn't have done that, and you're right about that, what am I going to say, okay? I can't fix that. But if you say something that's not accurate, I'm going to challenge you on that, try and get you to change that to see where that might not be true, and then that'll change the way you feel. So I think I do a lot of journaling with my athletes. I'll ask them to keep track of what are they thinking, what are they feeling, how are they behaving in good moments and bad moments, and try and figure out what the difference is, what's the theme. Control is one of them. I feel out of control. When I feel out of control, I feel shitty. I want to get back into control again. I feel like I need to be perfect. Those are all patterns that people get into that lead them into pretty bad places. So I'm trying to figure out what is it for you that, and I thought maybe something you said at the beginning made sense. You didn't realize just how hard this was going to be, and just how not a natural runner you are. So really how much even more difficult this is than you thought it was going to be. Now that you know that, and now that if you can accept that and say, okay, it is what it is. This is hard, and I'm okay with that. And it might even be so hard that I might fail. I'm okay with that. I got to try.
Yeah.
If you get to that point there, then it won't be as hard.
No, the self-talk is totally, I've seen it. Whenever I go into a tempo run or a track workout that I don't want to do, and I sit there going I don't want to do this, it's always bad. Always.
Even that can be accurate. I can live with I don't want to do this. It's then if that translates into, and sometimes this happens without us even knowing it, if that translates from I don't want to I can't, the I can't part is what's going to kill you.
Yeah. I go in with a bad attitude, and then that's when I make an excuse halfway through not to have to do it.
And here's I think the words that kill us. It's the words I have to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you wake up in the morning, you go, I have to go for a run today. When you say the words have to your brain asks this question. Your brain says, have to or else what?
Yeah.
What's the consequence for not doing it? And you don't actually answer that question. The answer would be, I'll disappoint my coach. I'm not moving a step closer to qualifying for Boston. And there's reasons why it feels like you have to. But the truth is you don't have to, right? You should, you want to, it would be good for you, whatever word you want to use, but have to is reserved for life or death.
Yeah.
You only have to breathe, you have to eat, you have to sleep, you have to go to the bathroom. Everything else in the world is a choice. It doesn't necessarily feel like a choice. And I think that's the problem right now. What I'm hearing you say is that whereas I used to run because I wanted to, and it was my escape. I now feel like I have to run because I've committed to trying to qualify for Boston. I've got hundreds of people, thousands of people following me. I'm trying to make a living out of this thing. I have to do this now. And as soon as you say that, your body tenses up. It goes into fight or flight mode. It's like, have to? This is life or death? And you don't even think about that, but your shoulders tense up. You stress, you're anxious, you get tunnel concentration. Your focus gets very narrow. Non-essential physical functions, non-essential higher level cognitive functioning goes out the window. You're a fight or flight or freeze animal at that point.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Totally.
It's something we did to ourselves by just these few little words at the beginning of the sentence, which were, I have to.
Yeah.
But when it's something like going to work or, things that you sort of have to do, it's hard to have that, to make that slight change to say, I don't have to do this, but I really want to because my goal is to qualify for Boston. I want to meet the needs of the hundreds of people that are following me on this website, on my journey, et cetera, et cetera. I'm doing this because I want to, not because I have to. And if you can change, I think if you can change that and actually believe that I don't have to, that I want to, and even if in the moment I feel like I don't want to, I know big picture I'm going to feel so much better if I do it, and that's why I do it even when I don't want to, but I don't have to. So that's the basis of what I try and sell people on. And I talk about the importance of routines, like of doing things the same way. That's why stretching and warming up and everything you do. Because really what you want to do is you want to get your body to the point where it says, oh, I know what we're doing now. We're running. It's time to run. It's time to perform. It's time to race. So that's why I think having a pre-race routine, pre-warm-up, pre-run, pre-practice run, anytime you train, you want to do things the exact same way. So your body just goes, okay, time to do what we know we do. Time to run. And it's not time to think, it's just time to go do what we need to do.
What do you think is the worst thing an athlete or someone working towards a goal can do?
Well, give up obviously would be the it's the self-limiting thing, I think, that I think gets us in trouble is not believing, but
self-imposed limits.
Exactly.
I've been talking a lot about this the last 2 weeks.
I know, maybe that's where I saw it too. Maybe that's what made me think of it, is that, I think we have no idea what we're capable of. And, our parents may have told us all our lives that we're capable of anything, which we may or may not have believed, or they may have told us we're not capable of anything, which we may or may not believe. But the truth is, no one knows our limits, including us. And that's why we have coaches, is that they have a better way, scientific way of judging what your limits are, or actually what your limits aren't, and they're pushing you past what you think you're capable of. If you're doing it on your own, that's a little bit different. But if you have a plan and you follow that plan, I think doubting that or questioning that or not following that is what gets you in trouble. And it seems like that doesn't seem like a problem for you right now.
It's my own, if when Josh gives me times that even I know that I can hit because I've now hit them, I still panic. Or tell myself, I'm not a 7-minute, 30-second mile, I can't do that, even though I can.
Right. So that's that inaccurate self-talk piece. Okay, I can't do that. How do you know that? Right.
Yeah.
I don't know until I try, but I do know that if I don't think I can do it, then chances are I'm right. There's that quote about whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're probably correct. Right. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
That's good.
So I think that it's one thing to have those thoughts. It's another thing to act on those thoughts. So if you can say to yourself, okay, I'm having this thought about, I don't think I can do it. I'm not a 7:30 mile runner. My coach thinks I am. I've done it before, but I don't think I am. Wait a minute. Let's suspend that. Let's go out and give it a shot, and let's see if I'm right or if I'm wrong. But then I have to give it an honest shot. I actually have to try and run my 7:30, for 5 miles or whatever I'm supposed to do. And if I can't do it, coach was wrong. But if I can do it, then I'm wrong. and I got to file that away and remember next time he says, now you're going to go run 720 miles, and you're going, I can't do that. Wait a minute, I didn't think I could do 730, and here I am doing 720.
Yeah.
So I think that the trust factor and the sort of accurate self-talk factor are the two things that I'd be looking at. Focus on the process. Every time you get yourself stuck. So here's some of the things. Here's something that I talk to people about all the time is if your coach was watching you run and he saw you starting to fall apart, what would he tell you should focus on?
My form.
Okay, what about your form?
He tells me to focus on my arms. Like he'll break it like a lap into segments. So he'll tell me like for 200 meters he wants me to run however I want, and then the next 200 meters he wants me to focus on my arms, and then the next 200 meters he wants me to focus on like really lifting my knees, and then he wants me to focus on putting everything together. So
that gets you through on a track workout. That gets you through at least once around, right?
Oh, it'll get me through 200 meters.
Okay, so it's halfway around. You have to do that twice to get a lap. Yeah. But if you were to do that every time you start to feel badly, just I'm going to do just what he would want me to do. I'm going to run the next 100 meters or whatever it is any way I want. Then I'm going to focus on my arms. Then I'm going to focus on my knee. Keep my knees up. Pretty soon you'd stop thinking about the pain. You'd stop thinking about anything else. You'd just be thinking about the process.
Yeah.
And if you keep doing that enough times, every time you start to feel yourself drifting away, you come back to the process. This is what mindfulness is all about. Pretty soon it'll be second nature. You start to feel bad, click into the mindfulness mode.
I think that's what Josh has been like gently trying to lead me to, is like not to panic and focus on the fact that I have to do 10 reps, but just to like get through each rep.
Right. No, I last year I was working with this swimmer who went on to be she's a world champion in the 10K open water swim. He's going to be in Rio, and he's going to swim in the pool. He's swimming 1,500 meters in the pool and 10 kilometers swim out in the bay there, the polluted bay that they keep talking about. And he did a set last year before he left for the World Championships that was just ridiculous. I mean, no one should have been able to do it. And when we asked him afterwards, how'd you do it? He goes, I didn't do 10 1,000s. I did one 1,000, and I didn't even do one 1,000. I did one 100, then another 100, and then another 100, and then another 100, and I just kept going like that. And I'm like, but even him, so before he left for the World Championships, I had breakfast with him, and I said, I have just one question for you. Do you believe that you're capable of winning a gold medal? And it took him like 5 seconds to respond. And I said, no, you don't. You don't believe yet. But when you do, you'll become world champion. Somewhere between then and when he actually went to the World Championships, he started to believe it. And I think it's when he trained with these other people. So now he's at the Olympics, training. The swim team is all training together in Atlanta. I just saw a video of him, the entire team, Michael Phelps, Katie Ledecky, all the big names in swimming, standing on the side of the pool, cheering for him doing his practice set. It was such a stunning set he was doing all by himself. No one else in the world could do it except him. And the whole team just stood there and cheered for him to do it. It was amazing. So, pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
And all because he believes in himself now.
It's crazy. Like the more and more I run, and the further, like I swear to God, every single day, it's like crazier and crazier how big it is mentally than it is physically. Like everything I've ever done has been this with running.
Yep. Because it's not natural for you. I mean, it's an unnatural act for you to run fast, unless you're being chased. That's like
even then, I feel like I would give up. I'd be like, not worth it. Like,
yeah, really.
Take me.
I'll fight you. I'd rather fight you than flight from you.
Come at me, bro.
Yeah, really. Yeah. Surprise the hell out of them. Anyway.
This has been awesome. Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Let me know what else I can do.
Yeah. I'll let you know how this goes over the next month.
Yeah, really. I'll be happy to help out any way I can.
Thanks, Dr. Bob.
Talk to you soon.